Hey Phantom, how's it going? Today we are going to be looking at my 2014 holiday gift giving guide. I am releasing this video right now because tomorrow's Thanksgiving and the day after that is Black Friday, and a lot of you are going to be shopping for those gifts for those people because a lot of comic shops will have deals and Amazon and online stores will also have deals as well. So let's get to it. I'm not going to go into too much detail as I normally do on my other reviews for these books because one, I've done some reviews for these already, and two, I have a lot to cover. So, first book, Lock and Key. Lock and Key is the perfect series to get somebody who is just getting into horror and they really love horror comics and things like that. Lock and Key tells the story of the Locke family who something tragic happens to them and they are forced to move into a house. Now, the house has the special ability that with the right key and you open the door, you unlock certain powers. What's going on here is that there is also a spirit in the house that is trying to use these keys for more nefarious reasons, and the family just has to deal with this and struggling with everyday life. I adore Lock and Key. I did a review, a more detailed one again, earlier this year, so if you haven't picked this up, I definitely recommend you give this to somebody who is into the horror genre. It's done. The series is over. There's 6 volumes out. I think you will enjoy it. 6. I don't know why I'm holding fingers. I think you'll enjoy it, and I think it'll make a great little gift for somebody who's into a little bit more spooky stuff. Okay? Moving on. Now, this one is for the fan that is just getting into Batman. They want to read Batman. They're interested in the Batman vs. Superman movie that is coming out next year, and they are just hyped about it. So what you're going to give them is the ultimate Batman story, The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns basically tells the story of Batman, and it's set in the future, and it is about 20 years in the future. He's retired. He's done with his crime fighting. And then something keeps pulling him back, though. Something keeps scratching at him, and eventually he comes out of retirement. And what happens is that the villains that he used to fight, they come back too, because he's come out of retirement. And it kind of shows the relationship that Batman has, that without Batman, villains wouldn't be there. Joker's in this, Two-Face. There's a whole bunch of villains that show up in this. And at the end, it shows the climactic battle of Batman versus Superman. This is written by Frank Miller, who at the time, and it was just on top of his game. Not crazy Frank Miller right now. But I think they will really enjoy this. They'll get a lot out of this if you give this to somebody. And it is also heralded as one of the best graphic novels of all time. It's great. Trust me, I think it's great. You'll enjoy it. You can find it pretty cheap for like 24 bucks. And I think if you give it to somebody, it's a good read and they will like it. So, moving on. Next one. Told you, I'm moving quick today. Let's go with this one. Bone. I'm kind of cheap. Not all of these came out this year, but I think these are great gifts anyway. This is the complete edition of Bone. Bone is a series that ran in the early 1990s and is written by Jeff Smith, and it is known for a lot of people as the Lord of the Rings of the series, of the comic book world, because it's so grand in scale and it has such a big world that it built. Bone basically tells the story of these 3 brothers, the Bones, that's one of them right there, and the mischiefs that they get into throughout this series. I haven't read this in a long time, so bear with me on this one. At being run out of Boneville, the 3 Bone cousins, Phone Bone, Phony Bone, and Smiley Bone, are separated and lost in an uncharted desert. One by one, they find their way into a deep forest valley filled with wonderful and terrifying creatures. It's a great read, and especially if you are a parent and you're just kind of getting your kid into comics and things like that. It's funny, it's great, it's done in black and white. I think they will enjoy it. Here's some of the art. It's very charming, and it's meant for younger readers. I think they will enjoy it. I will post a fuller review of this later on. One caveat, though, you will notice that the farther you get along to the page, especially on this version, the page is very thin to the point where you could see through it as farther you get along. There are hardcover and color versions of this out there, but if you want to save money, especially with the holiday season, you can find this online for about 20 bucks. And it has the full thing, and it is huge. It's going to last you a while. And you can read it to a kid. It makes a great bedtime story. I think they'll enjoy it. It does get a bit darker as you go along, but it's nothing too bad that they'll get freaked out. So, there's that. Moving on, moving on. Okay, this is for the music fan. If you have a music fan, I did a review of this earlier this year, and it is actually going on, I'm telling you right now, on my best of list. This is The Fifth Beatle. The Fifth Beatle is basically an autobiographical account of the Beatles' manager, who at the time has been claimed as, if there was anybody else that would be considered a fifth Beatle, it would be this guy. I believe his name was Brian Epstein, and he helped these guys basically get started. He helped them find their footing and basically become who they were, the Beatles. And it tells a beautifully done story of somebody who at the time was just in the middle of all this limelight and surrounded by so many people, but he was alone. He was very much alone, and it's a very tragic and sad story because if you know anything about him at the time, he was gay. And at the time, it was illegal to be gay in London and England, and just some of the struggles that he dealt with just managing these bands, and he just kept persisting and saying, no, these guys are going to be huge. I'm telling you right now, it's a beautiful account rendered by some of the best art of the year. And I did a review of it earlier, and I said that, oh man, by the end of it, I was almost tearing up. This is definitely a great gift to give somebody who is the music lover in your life, and I think they will love it. This is a beautifully done hardcover. It's on my best of year list. Bam. Next one. Seconds. Seconds is a great little book for somebody who loves Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim is a series that was done by this guy, Brian Lee O'Malley. And if you've never heard of it, I definitely recommend you check out my review of Scott Pilgrim. It's fun, it's bombastic, it's everything. This is his follow-up series. It's a one-and-done book, and it tells the story of a young woman who is just starting her own restaurant, and she just constantly tries to reset time by eating these mushrooms. I know it's a crazy premise and everything like that. There's so much more that goes on into this, and it deals with, as you get older and things like that, how do you deal with change, and how do you deal with some of the mistakes you made earlier on in life, and what would you do if you wanted to kind of seek perfection and everything. It's a great story, and it's beautifully done. I really recommend you check this out. It's a quick read, though. It's not as long as the other ones, but if you are into anime, manga, or if you enjoyed Scott Pilgrim, I definitely think you guys should check this out. Sample the art. Great read. You can find this for about 20 bucks. Good read. Or if you know somebody who likes anime and manga and is looking for kind of a quirky, fun story, I think they'll enjoy this. Give this to them. They'll probably like that. Next one. Arrow. This is Green Arrow Year 1 by Jock and Andy Diggle. Green Arrow is a series that has blown up in fandom right now, especially with the Arrow TV show. Admittedly, I am not a fan of it. I am enjoying Flash, so I think that's a fun show. Green Arrow Year 1 is basically tells the story of Green Arrow. Green Arrow as he started out with him crashing on an island, having to survive and things like that, and then coming back to his city and to his company and seeing that things that he took for granted before and that he had before aren't that great. So it kind of tells his origin story. It's great for somebody who's just getting into the comics, likes Arrow, and really is interested in this character and wants to see how he started out. So, Green Arrow Year 1, stamp of approval. Love the art. Jock is one of my favorite artists right now. I think he does a great job with everything he touches. He's doing art on a Scott Snyder book right now, so that tells you something. Next up, Chew. This is for the fan who's a little out there, who's a little crazy, the family member that you're like, should we invite him to Christmas dinner or not? I'm not sure, because he's kind of... So this is for that person. This is the Smorgasbord edition of Chew. I absolutely love Chew. Chew tells the story of Tony Chew, who is a Cibopath. Still haven't found out the definition from my earlier review. But it basically tells the story of this person who has the ability to ingest something, and he gets these psychic predictions of how things happen. So he eventually ends up as one of the FDA's top agents. Why is the FDA important in this world? Well, because of the fact that the chicken flu happened in this universe, and now chicken is outlawed. So they become automatically one of the most powerful government-run organizations in the world. And it has vampires, it has robots, it has a bunch of crazy stuff in it. I am telling you, this is such a fun series, and it is hilarious. Art by Rob Gilroy, still can't say the name. And the art written by John Layman. I adore this version of it. It is huge, it is big, and it's going to run you a pretty penny, actually, but you're getting a good chunk about it, and you get a nice ribbon, too. Or you can just get the trades for it, and I definitely recommend you guys check this out. So, I reviewed it earlier this year. You can take a look at that as well. And, of course, we have what is my pick for the Book of the Year, Saga. I just reviewed it this past week. Definitely go check out that review. It is on there. I am going to say if somebody who is like Star Wars, Romeo and Juliet, or fans of space exploration, definitely check this out. I just reviewed it this week. It was beautifully done. So there is that. And I've got one more for you. Let me back up right here. So I'm going to cheat also. This was not this year, but it's still great. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by IDW. And I think this was great. This is a fantastic reboot. You could jump onto this, Volume 1. One on the side right there. You can give that to somebody who really enjoyed this movie this summer. I didn't like the movie. I thought it was kind of eh. but that's just me. And this is a great reboot of the series. You know, it starts off with the Turtles still in the laboratory and everything like that. It's a great reinvention of it. And you get the origin of Splinter, the Turtles, and how it traces back to feudal Japan and Shredder. It's a great run, and honestly, it has one of the best storylines that I've read this year, which breaks out into this huge war in the city. Great stuff. I definitely recommend you guys check this out. If you haven't, good art too. What's one of the positives of this as well is that one of the original creators is actually working on this as well, because the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles actually started off as a parody of Daredevil in the 80s, but you know, things happen. So there's that. Bam. And last one, for the fan of Doctor Strange. For the fan of Doctor Strange, you want Doctor Strange: The Oath. Doctor Strange: The Oath is a 5-part series that is written by Brian K. Vaughan, and it is great. I love Doctor Strange: The Oath. It is art by Marcos Martin, and it basically tells the story of somebody who has tried to assassinate Doctor Strange. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange is dealing with his assistant who has a terminal disease. How does he go about curing a terminal disease at the same time trying to find this person that tried to assassinate him? It's very much a mystery story, and you don't need any prior experience to Doctor Strange without to jump onto this. Sorry, man, my tongue is caught today. Definitely check this out, and there are rumors that this will be heavily inspired for the movie, so I recommend you check it out. With that said, I hope you guys watched this video. I said it was going to be quick. I don't want to waste too much of your time, so comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Hope this helps, and I'm sorry for your wallets. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.